This is part one of a two-part discussion of sociological theory. Theoretical schools, frameworks, and paradigms will be covered in part one. Theory is used to explain social phenomena. Sociological theories relating to alcohol and drug use are used to explain drug and alcohol use and abuse and the perception and sanctioning of drug and alcohol use and abuse. Sociological theories can appropriately be described as microsociological theories or macrosociological theories. I'll begin by explaining microsociology. Early sociological studies of alcohol and drug use focused on a particular context of addiction. These studies take a microsociological approach, examining interactions between individuals, groups of individuals, or individuals and objects. Most microsociological approaches to the study of drug and alcohol use fall under the social constructionist paradigm. This means that they are used to explain the social construction of knowledge and morality. Common microsociological theories and paradigms include labeling theory, which falls under the symbolic interactionist or social psychological theories, phenomenology, and ethnomethodology, also under the symbolic interactionist and social psychological frameworks, reference group theory, and exchange theory. Constructionist approaches operate on the assumption that nothing exists naturally until it is labeled and defined. See the following circumstance: the social constructionist and friend. Friend says, "I like your hat." The social constructionist responds, "What hat?" The friend says, "That thing on your head isn't a hat." The social constructionist says, "No, this is my sun shield." The friend says, "Oh." And then the friend says, "Nice sun shield. Where can I get one?" And you can see the sun shield or hat here on top of the social constructionist. Here, a hat didn't exist because it was not labeled and defined in this interaction. But a sun shield did exist because it was labeled and defined. When applied to drugs, we can use Lynn Smith's 1938 theory of addiction, which argues that deviant labels such as dope fiend are conditionally deviant. See this conditionally deviant scenario involving drug use. Here again, we have the social constructionist and a friend. The friend says, "What are you doing?" Social constructionist says, "Relaxing." Friend says, "It looks like you are doing drugs." Social constructionist says, "I guess that's one way to say it." Friend says, "I can't be friends with a dope fiend." Social constructionist said, "I never said I was a dope fiend." The friend says, "I know, but I just did." Here, the friend has indicated that because they have labeled the social constructionist as doing drugs, that they're, as a dope fiend, that their own definition as relaxing did not matter. But why is this conditionally deviant? Well, for those outside of the drug using community, as in the friend, dope fiend has overwhelmingly been labeled negative. But for some drug users, there's evidence that from more recent research that suggests the label can denote prestige. So here, instead of not responding to the "I know, but I just did," in response to the friend's labeling, the social constructionist replies, "I think that I'm better described as fun," countering the label applied by the friend. So here you can see that the friend and the social constructionist clearly have different understandings of smoking as deviant or not. And here you can see the social constructionist holding my very bad drawing of smoking. Constructionist theories highlight that there are de facto and de jure means of constructing knowledge. De jure means by law. Some things are defined as such through the existence of legal code and policy. When talking about the constructionist theories, you will often hear things like the construction of knowledge or defining the situation. Deviance defined by law, de jure deviance, is most often associated with the phenomenon of criminalization. Criminalization is defining a behavior or an individual as deviant by codifying that behavior or presentation as illegal. When assessing the deviance of drug and alcohol use, it is also important to look at the de facto ways in which substance abuse is defined as deviant. One example is the medicalization of substance dependence and addiction. Without any thought to the law, the process of medicalization defines substance use as deviant through the application of diagnosis, a medical rather than criminal label. Labeling substance users as ill indicates a deviation from the norm healthy and suggests to substance users that they should pursue a cure. This reinforces that healthy is the assumed norm. So, to review, de jure means defined by law. Criminalized deviance is considered de jure because it involves deviation from legal behavior that is assumed legal because it has been written into legal code as such. A criminalized conceptualization of substance use defines substance use as criminal behavior. De facto means defined informally. Medicalized deviance is considered de facto because it involves deviation from an assumed norm, but not one that is codified by law. In the case of medicalization, the norm is informally defined by medical institutions. A medicalized conceptualization of substance use defines substance use as illness. The addict label is applied to those engaging in both criminalized and medicalized substance use and abuse. We can look at de facto and medicalized substance use and abuse as the less deviant conceptualization, while de jure and criminalized substance use and abuse can be considered the more deviant conceptualization. Macrosociological approaches examine the combined impact of institutions, systems, and societies on social actors, individuals acting in a role rather than as agentic individuals. In macrosociology, structural and systems frameworks are used. Common macrosociological theories and paradigms include structural functionalism, Marxist conflict theory, and critical theories. These theories are based on the assumption that drug and alcohol use are the result of existing in a certain social context. Drug and alcohol use, then, is predictable using social facts. These theories highlight risky circumstances, which are useful for developing preventive measures. They are useful for explaining why agency is constrained in ways that are out of an individual's control. Let's pause for a minute to review agency as a theoretical concept in sociology. Agentic, or having agency, refers to the ability to make decisions independent of macrosocial influence. In essence, you have agency when you make up your own mind.